What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So we're only going to talk about South Carolina LSU game, number 1 versus number 9. SEC powerhouses going head to head. And I wanted to do a video after the game, but that was 3 o'clock in the morning for me. So I was like, I need to get some rest so I can be able to at least function for the rest of the day. Um, this game was everything that we dreamed of, right? It's everything we dreamed of. It was the perfect game. Like, this game was better than the NCAA championship game, right? It was close the entire game, right? Even though South Carolina came out with the victory of 76 over 70, that score is still, like, them being up by 6 is still a lot. How that game went. And LSU was up majority of the game. They had control of the game, especially in that first half. They they played very well, and this was one of those games that LSU decided to play defense, or what everything that they've been talking about in practice and everything came. Pretty much they did it all for this game, and it was amazing, amazing basketball on both sides of the floor. South Carolina did not start off as they usually do. They definitely had some struggles in the first half, but they were still consistent in that first half. They scored 18 points in the first and the second quarter, with LSU scoring 24 points in the first quarter and 17 points in the second quarter. Right? I think LSU had a 5 point lead after the half. And we all know LSU third quarters is like huge in their whole identity. They have huge third quarters, but they have bigger third quarters if they're obviously down at the half. If they're down at the half, they'll come back and have a 30-point third quarter. But last night or tonight, they had 15 points for the third quarter for LSU, 16 for South Carolina. So it was still a what and what game, right? LSU was just at the end of the third quarter, they were up by 4, right? And then you get to that fourth quarter, and everything that wasn't working for South Carolina the first 3 quarters pretty much started clicking, right? So Bria Hall and Pow Pow, they didn't hit their threes until the second half. Bria Hall hit her only 2 threes of the game in roughly like the last 5 minutes of the game. Um, LSU defense really had a lockdown on Pow Pow and Bria Hall and Raven Johnson. They all scored in double digits, right? 10, 12, and 13. Um, so South Carolina starting five all scored in double digits. Like I said, it's hard for it to beat a team where all 5 of their starters are scoring in double digits, right? But then it makes for an amazing game when both teams, all 5 starters, score in the double digits. It was the competitiveness of the game, the back and forth, the aggression in this game. There was no there was no over aggression in the game. There was I didn't even see that much I didn't see that much talking back and forth between the players. They would give each other looks, which is part of the game. Every now and then they would make gestures. But to me, this was a clean, hard fought game. And I appreciate the fact that the refs also stayed out of this game. South Carolina was 7 of 13 from the free throw line, and LSU was 4 of 9, which we all know that's very low for LSU to only be on the free throw line 9 times. They have one player who usually is at the free throw line 9 times. But both teams struggled with free throws in the beginning. At one point, one team was 1 and 4 from the line, one was 1 and 6 from the line. And I was like, we got to figure that out. We're not fouling, okay? Obviously, we're not fouling that much. So, what's happening? Um, both teams shot in the 40% range, 47 for South Carolina, 44 for LSU. 3 point range was the same. Like when you're looking at the numbers, it matched what the game showed. It was evenly the whole way. What really surprised men was that the rebounding effect, which we all know LSU's identity is rebounding, right? But at one point they had 10 offensive rebounds. 10 offensive rebounds in the first half alone. South Carolina fixed that in the second half, only allowing them 3, right, in the second half. But 10 offensive boards in the first half is a lot, especially when LSU's 2 post players are much shorter than one of South Carolina's post players, right? Cardoso ended up coming out with 8 rebounds, 11 points. Angel Reese had 8 rebounds, 15 points, right? Uh, and 3 of Angel Reese's were offensive rebounds. Cardoso had 2. Um, that matchup, Cardoso and Angel Reese, was something that a lot of people talked about because of Cardoso is 6'7". She is looking at her and looking at her stats on her sheet. She is much bigger than Angel Reese, size wise and obviously height. And these two ladies battled. Okay, they gave each other looks. They gave each other block shots. They put their bodies into each other. They battled in that post, and they gave us what we asked for. Okay, these two teams gave us what we asked for. We asked for a competitive game. We asked for something that kept us on the edge of our seats the entire time, and it did. It was not a good decision for me to watch this game starting at 1 o'clock in the morning my time, ending at 3, because me trying to go to sleep was just, my adrenaline was going too much, right? And so for those of you who don't know, I am an LSU fan, right? So to watch this game, I can 100% say I am so proud of LSU. Um, they gave it their all. They obviously made some questionable decisions in the end. I don't agree with the foul that Angel Reese got for her 5th foul. That was definitely a foul she should not have taken, right? But I do feel like most post players get into foul trouble because they're guards, right? It's very rare that they're gonna call fouls against 2 post players battling it out, right? And don't get me wrong, the refs call some weird fouls. Okay, when they did decide to call a foul, it was the most random ones ever. But I appreciate them staying out of the game, calling fouls that was a foul. Obviously, they don't call something that everybody be like, hmm, come on, man. But some of the decision makings in the fourth quarter for LSU is what led to South Carolina coming back and Bear Hall hitting those two big threes, and then Raven Johnson taking the ball to the hole and getting them up by 4, right? So this was a game that obviously everyone wants somebody to beat South Carolina. But to me, I feel like this game was also a game for LSU to prove to everyone, like, we don't care what you say. We good, okay? And it shows. It shows that this team is where it needs to be, and it's at a level that it wasn't at last year at this time, right? South Carolina blew LSU out of the water last time. Yes, it was in South Carolina. The game was in South Carolina. Anytime in the past South Carolina and LSU had played each other, it wasn't that much hype, right? LSU was never ranked as high as they was last year and even this year. So the hype is a lot differently. But last year's game looked like all the other games that LSU and South Carolina had played over the years. This game was different. You had college game day there, sold out crowd. Ticket prices was like $2,000. Everything about this game is pretty much what women basketball fans have been wanting. They've been wanting for people to actually notice and look at these women play, and it was amazing. And I'm super excited that I was able to watch it, and I hope that this continues to happen. The There was an interview that Coach Moki did, like either a day before the game, where she said, "If this is a close game, it won't be each coach out coaching each other, right? It's gonna be the players on the floor making the decisions." And that's exactly what we saw in this game. It wasn't like the coaches are calling the plays, but however the defense reacts, right, to those plays that you've called depends on what your playmakers decide to do, right? So down the stretch, South Carolina stepped up their defense big time. Like they were hardcore up on our guards the entire time, and it kind of stopped the guards from passing into the post, right? They stopped getting the ball into the post, and they were shooting a lot of jumpers. There was at one point they were shooting a lot of jumpers, chunking up threes, and I'm like, you're getting rushed. You need to figure it out, settle down, get back into your game, right? And we were chunking up crazy plays when we still had time on the clock. We were just throwing up a shot. It was like we don't need a shot like that. We need a shot, a play ran, the ball movement, and see if we can even get a 2 pointer, get a layup, drive into the basket, and and one. But then you have on South Carolina where the play was called. LSU's defense was up on them. They played amazing defense, and Raven Johnson could not find anyone to get the ball to. So at that point, as the playmaker for South Carolina, she did what she was supposed to do, and she took the ball to the goal, and now South Carolina's up by 4 points at the end of the game. So that wasn't a coach's decision. A coach called the play, right? But what happens on that floor, the coach can't control. It's the person who's holding that ball makes those decisions. And that's what it came down to. It's pretty much whose playmakers made the best decisions. And South Carolina made the best decisions, right? At the end of the game, they made the best decisions and got up by 4 points, right? And obviously, LSU fouls, so then they get to the foul shot in this 6 point game, right? Um, LSU not having Angel Reese on the floor definitely threw their balance off. But while she was in there, she gave them everything she had, and she played an amazing game. Morrow and Kits going head to head was a matchup I didn't think I needed to see, but I am happy I did. I am 100% happy I did, right? Flau'jae Johnson playing defense on Pow Pow, Bree Hall, Michaela Williams. Like the defense that these two young players, Michaela Williams and Flau'jae Johnson, played, they pretty much took Pow Pow and Hall out of the game. There was that point where I was like, I didn't even realize when they were on the floor and when they wasn't on the floor. Their defense really stepped up. But South Carolina is deeper, right? LSU still only played their normal 7 players, right? Their two bench players with Rosario and Poa. Only both of them gave them 2 points. That's it. But then you have on the South Carolina side where Fukuile gave them 8 points. Then you'd have a couple other players come in. They give them like 2 points here, 4 points there. Um, so seeing how many points South Carolina's bench produced for them compared to obviously LSU's side still doesn't account for how close the game was, right? If you look at that, it's like LSU starting five always scores in double digits. All five of them always scored 10 plus points, right? This game, South Carolina, all five of their starters had to score in double digit. Plus, Fukuile almost got into double digits, right? So it's like depth is big for when it comes to fatigue, right? There was at one point Angel Reese asked Kim Mulkey to call a timeout because she was cramping, right? which happens. But LSU's starting five is used to playing whole games. They're used to it. So their bodies might not be as conditioned as others because of the fact that they don't get as many rests, but they can still play a full game. When you look at their numbers, if all starting five are playing 30 minutes a game, they're playing 30 minutes a game and they're beating people. They're winning. They still played all roughly. Angel Reese played 29 minutes, but she was out the last 4 minutes of the game with fouled out, and she was out a good little bit in the second half with foul trouble. Morrow 35, Williams 38, Flage 40, Van Lith 38, right? But it also forced South Carolina. They played they played some heavy time. Like their players got some heavy time. Pow Pow having 39 minutes and Raven Johnson having 36, Bria Hall having 30. And the crazy part is all three of them were on the floor for that long, and because of the defense for LSU, their presence wasn't felt, right? Their presence wasn't felt until the end. But that's when you need your players to come through, your big players to come through at that time and the end. And then their bench, Del Rosario played 17 minutes and Poa only played 3 minutes, which I think was also a turning point for this game because she is experienced, and I'm not quite sure what what was going on there, but Poa only playing 3 minutes in this game definitely hurt LSU as well. But overall, it was an amazing game. The crowd looked amazing. I wish I could have been there. LSU came out and they fought hard. South Carolina came out and they fought hard. And this was a battle that the SEC needed, that women's basketball needed. Uh, ESPN came out and they showed huge support. I hope they continue to do this because this is what our game needs. The crowd, you can't say enough about that crowd. It was amazing. I hope you guys keep supporting these women while they're playing this game that we all love. Thank you for watching and supporting me. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace, love, happiness.